Hello and welcome to PlaymakerTV. I really said that very Swedish. TV, that's what we say in Sweden, but Playmaker TV, episode 1. I'm here with Jesper Haglöf, who is a data analyst at Playmaker. Hi Jesper, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Nice to be here with you and finally be starting to do this. I've been looking forward to this for a while and we've been planning it for a while as well. So it feels very, very nice to finally be on our way, be starting with this Playmaker TV.
Yeah, because we really want to show Playmaker in this live stream sessions that we are going to do across the season and seasons actually that starts and have started. And we are Swedish, and I'm Mia Eriksson. I will be guiding you and Jesper also through this because this is our first time doing this. And what we are going to do during this live stream is that we're going to show Playmaker as a tool and what you can do with it. So just Jesper, just tell us what is Playmaker.
Yeah, Playmaker AI is a data analysis company within football. So we work with data analytics within the game. So it's we gather data, sample data, and then we provide data through our platform to clubs, teams, and agents, and broadcasting, television, and so on. The company was founded 6 years ago and been gradually growing since.
Yeah, actually, I would say you might have exploded now with going into the women's game as well. I do think because when you and I started to get to know each other, you weren't that into the women's game in the way that you see the data explosion right now.
No, exactly. So I've always been watching women's football on some level, and especially the Swedish national team and their tournaments and so on. But then my interest has been growing very rapidly since starting to work with women's data. And I also then find it even more interesting to watch the league games as well. And we have, we also have a team in Damallsvenskan Häcken here in Gothenburg, where I live. So it's loads of fun.
Yeah, and we're in the middle of the season with the Damallsvenskan in Sweden. We should add that, and it's 7 rounds to go before the league is decided. And very exciting season as well, and it's very even at the top. But we are, for natural reasons, gonna focus on another league premiere that will happen today, and that is the Women's Super League in England. So we're gonna take a look at the Playmaker platform while we are talking about this league premiere, because tonight Brighton will kick it off against Arsenal at Arsenal's home ground. So while we talk about the league premiere, we are also gonna let Jesper show Playmaker the platform during this live stream. So Jesper, just kick it off and take us through it.
Yes, I'm happy to do so. And yeah, everyone tuning in now or later, please be patient with us since it's the first time using this tool live, except from training before this. So we are inside Playmaker's platform. The version we are using now, we're actually going to release a new version pretty soon, which I'm very excited about. But let's start off by maybe going into the players mode, where we list all the players. This is a big the database of all the players we have in our platform. You can then also search for a specific league, and we'll go into last year's Women's Super League. So you basically have the short name of the players here. You have the clubs. You have both position that our position AI detects and the primary position that we sample from the rosters, what position the clubs say their players are playing at. Then we have a lot of stats per 90 and also the summed stats as well. And you can continue far to the right. But I thought we could look at a player. So Mia, tell me a player that played in Women's Super League last year that we want to take a look at.
Yeah, I'm thinking let's stick to this evening's big event. So why don't we take a look at someone most are familiar with in Vivian Miedema?
Let's. So then you can search. I usually search. So now you have only the row for the player. You could do this search for like all leagues, and you can find a player for many seasons as well and compare them. But now we have the latest season of Women's Super League, and then if you press the I here, you can get a view of her spider. So this is like a quick view of her spider, where you have I don't know how easy it is to read here in this window, but if you press enlarge here, we arrive at a Swedish the Swedish variable, so the Swedish text outside, but I can translate. So we have Miedema here at the top, and then we have finishing up here. You can see that Miedema is a class finisher. That's not a surprise to anyone watching Women's Super League, I think. Then you also have her dribbles, like how good she's at challenging the defenders with the ball and actually passing the player as well with the dribble. She's at top in that stat as well, and the other stat that she's above average. The white area inside here is average for her position, and then you have the red one that is her stats. So the passing game, she is also over average, and that's basically because she's very good in the progressive passing, especially since playing in the number 10 role or high up in the field. She has a lot of passing to the box and assists and key passes and final third entries and so on. So she's in the progressive passing. She's brilliant.
I think it's also worth mentioning here that the red color is not red alert here. It's a positive thing, you know. It's
definitely positive.
It's not alarming.
No, it's more that our logo is red, so this is the colors we use. And then up here you have her air duels, like how she is in the air, and you have defense here, and you have duels here. And to say again, so the white one is average for her position, and then you have the red one that is her stats. So did you follow, Mia?
Yeah, of course, I did follow. I mean, these spiders are my favorites of the platform as well, as you are very well aware of, because I ask you for them all the time. But this is a very easy view and first impression of a player, and often it doesn't surprise me to watch the spiders when you have seen them play. So that's
exactly.
A good thing.
You can be surprised sometimes, and I think something that is that I get a lot of questions about when you show a spider is that sometimes if a player is very close to the middle or has or in the 0, 10 or 15 percentile or whatever, it doesn't mean that the player is necessarily bad at doing that. It could also mean that the player is not doing that that often. Like the player isn't taking any air duels. It's hard being the best in the league if you don't do any air duels in the game. So that's one thing to have in mind as well.
Exactly.
So you have here also what I would show, like if you press on the player and enter the player page, you have like an offensive radar with non-penalty goals, so that's the goals except for the penalty. And then you have the variable number here. So she has like 7.71 non-penalty goals per game. And where the player is located, like how big the area is like in which percentile the player is. So if the player is furthest out, she's top 5% in the league in that stat. Yeah, and you also have like a mid radar, a defensive radar. You have a actions distribution. So this is where she takes her actions. The circle here in the middle is like where she's take like her average position. You can say
this is like a heat map, right?
Yeah, it's a heat map. Yeah,
exactly.
And if it's like brighter, it means that she takes more action in that position. And if it's not as bright, it's she has taken actions there, but not as much. And if it's completely green, she might have taken an action once or twice or 5 times, but not enough to be viewed. You also can go to the detailed shot map. Let's see if we reach any problems. It usually takes a while to load. So you can see where she has taken her shots. So you have you can see that she scored 14 goals on 16.03 expected goals. So yeah, you could say that she was expected to score even more goals than she actually did, even though scoring 14 goals is very good. And coming to the chances of 16 expected goals is very good as well. But you could argue that she might even have scored some more goals if she would have been more effective.
And this is also a quite nice thing to watch, because you can watch this shot map from different angles also, right?
So you can look from it from the top like this. This is my favorite view. You can look from it from a goalkeeper perspective. You can look from the right, like with a little bit of an angle, from the left. Or entire pitch, like we did. But I think the top is my favorite. I don't know why, but I think that's my favorite. And
it's very easy to see, and what the overall picture is very easy to just go through very quickly if you want a quick view on the shot map.
Yeah, you can change color of the background and just look at. She didn't have any corner finishes, it seems like. Yeah, you can look at free kick finishes, like there's an F in them. Inside, it's hard to see because she had so many shots. You can look at the goals only, so that's the one with the football inside. Or you can look at all of them, like we just did. So that's a little bit about the player view.
Yeah, and now we've learned something about Viviane Miedema, is that she is very her attacking abilities are good. Also
exactly.
also in the data, not just when we watch her play. But you can also watch teams in this perspective in the platform as well, right?
Yeah, you can go into the team view. So then you basically you do the same thing. You search for Women's Super League, and then we get a table like this, and then you have a lot of stats, but they are summed up on for the team as well instead. So for example, if we want to look at PIB, that's passes into the box, so we can sort on that. And we can see that Chelsea had the most passes into the box last season, which is not that surprisingly. It's usually a good correlation between passes into the box and having a high expected goals.
And to score goals.
And to score goals, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not very surprisingly. You can look at won balls on offensive half, for example. You can see that Manchester United was actually winning the most balls on offensive half, and Chelsea in third position. You can do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You have the expected threat here, for example, in comparison to the expected goals. You can see that Manchester City actually had the highest expected threat, according to our model, but Chelsea has the highest expected goals.
Can we just stop a little bit right there, because you just said the expected threats, and we usually go by XT. Explain what that is.
So expected threat is a model just like expected goals, that it's looking at how likely it is to score a goal from a certain position. But expected threat instead, it takes into account like all passes and carries and dribbles during a game, instead of just looking at shots. So like shots is around 1.5 to 2% of the game events that we collect, and the pass and carries is around, and dribbles is around 75%. So you get a little bit more data to base, and then basically a player has a choice to either pass the ball, shoot the ball, or trying to dribble during a possession where you get the ball. And then the model is trained on, if you have the ball at a certain position on the pitch, how likely is it that you are going to score a goal later in that possession chain? And if you get expected threat as a player for a pass, you're looking at how much is the threat increasing, the likeliness of scoring a goal if you move the ball from position A to B. And I think that's a very great upcoming episode to dig in more into expected threat. So a little bit of a teaser.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot of XT during the season while doing these live streams. I'm sure Jesper will be able to come up with examples of players with high and low XTs as well. But sticking with this day's event and the game Arsenal versus Brighton tonight, let's take a look at Brighton as a team and in the platform.
Yes. So let's look at Brighton. So we get the team view. So Brighton, if you look at this, you can look at the goals first. They had 38 goals against, expected goals against 44.5. So they actually conceded less goals than expected. You can look at the goals scored, 24, and expected goals, 26.3. So they scored a bit less than expected. You have the total shot ratio, and then the red part is shot against, the green part is shots for. And shot on target ratio, you had shot on target against and shots on target for Brighton. And you also have our team spider here, and you can see that Brighton last year, they weren't a top team. Like, they were performing below average in almost all of the 6 stats here, except for duels. They won. They took over the ball from the opponent just above average compared to the other teams. You also have a list of the team stats here on the right. You can see the possession, tackles percents, passes into the box, and so on. You have a shot map that is a bit more, more shots. Since it's an entire team, you can go into the detailed shot map in 3D. And you also have an assist map here. And you can see where the passes and defensive actions has been done, where they have won their balls. You see, especially on the right side of the pitch, they've been very strong last year. So yeah,
gonna be interesting tonight to see if Katie McCabe from the left goes straight into Brighton's right side brick wall, as that look like.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be a great game tonight as well. But let's just stick to Brighton and Arsenal a little bit more, because you can show one more thing about Playmaker, and that is game viewer.
Yeah, you can go to the games view. So here you have to select season as well. So the easiest way is to search for it and not scroll down the list, because then you can be scrolling for a long time. And then it's easy to maybe search for the team and you get a list of Arsenal's game. And then you have Arsenal versus Brighton here. That was played 27th of January last year. No, this year, sorry. Last season, but this year. Or do you want to look at Brighton versus Arsenal that was played? That Arsenal won away with 3-0. So which game do you want to look at?
Let's look at the last.
The last one. Yeah.
No, like this year. So it's the closest to this.
I actually see that both games were played this year, with one in January and one in March. So if
take the one in March, that's the closest one.
That's the latest one. Yeah. So let's see. If you look at this game instead, you have the total shot ratio. You have the shot on target ratio here as well. You see a big dominance for Arsenal. You have the passes, and then you have unsuccessful passes in red. You have successful passes in green, and then on the other side here, starting from the right, you have for Arsenal, and you can see that Arsenal had more passes and a lower percent of unsuccessful passes as well. And possession was dominance for Arsenal, 57-43.
So this is like a Bible after every game played.
Yeah, exactly. And you have the patches here. You can see where the players were actually. If you look at Miedema, for example, we can take out. You see that Miedema she was working in a very big area, like she was
very centrally.
Very centrally, and she was running down pretty far down in the pitch and working her way towards up to the penalty area. Box to box wise, almost.
Yeah, almost.
And then you can also look at the pass networks you have for Brighton. That is not the most beautiful in this game.
No, they look very pushed back.
Exactly. And it's showing the players that have been subbed into the game as well. And you can look at Arsenal. You see that Stina Vaxtenius here, Bethany Mead, Williamson, and you can see that Williamson and Ruben Moy has been key in the passing game. Like they have had a lot of ball, started the attacks.
Because the darker the lines are between two players here, that means that they have passed the ball a lot, right? Yeah,
exactly. And also the size of the circle that is the player circle. Yeah.
And then this is the average positions on the pitch as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. The average position. Yeah. That game ended 0-3, and you saw that it was a very big. Let's see, Arsenal, Brighton. Yeah, it was a very big dominance in expected goals as well, 4.6 versus 0.4. So it could have ended even worse for Brighton in that game. But if you look at the earlier home game, it was more even. You had 1.5 versus 0.8. And if you look at XG over time, Brighton actually started this game pretty good. But Arsenal, they took over in second half and had a lot of chances as the game went.
Yeah, you can get a lot of information going in on the game's view here. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah. And if you would look at Miedema, wrong team. See if Miedema had a similar. Yeah, she had a pretty similar patch.
Yeah.
Working, she entered both boxes more frequently in this game. That's one of the. Yeah.
She often gets yelled at from fans and people watching that she never goes down to collect the ball and defend so deep. But that patch said something different.
said something different in that game. Maybe because it was more even, and Arsenal was pressed back in the beginning of the game as well. Could be one.
Hard-working midfielder there.
Yeah.
Or hard-working number 10.
Yeah. And one thing more that I was going to show from last season, if you use up here, we used to pick a date in the middle of last summer, and we pick a date in August. And then we generate a performance table, and this can take a few seconds because the computer is counting. But then you can get the performance of the teams and the expected points, and like how they maybe should have performed. Like if you look at their expected goals from game to game.
And compared to the actual table also.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So did they perform as expected, or did they perform worse or better? So if you look at the top of the table, for example, Chelsea did win last year, and they took 56 points. They were expected to take almost 55. So they actually performed as expected almost. But you can see that Arsenal performed better. They had probably pretty decent finishers, and also I know that Zinsberger was awarded as the best goalkeeper in Women's Super League based on our shot-stopping algorithm last year.
So this sort of like tells us that this season is going to be an exciting one, perhaps between Chelsea and Arsenal the most. Let's see.
Exactly, and that's a good segue to the next part of our program.
That's I just thought I would slip that part in, because you have actually done a data simulation of the Women's Super League for this season.
Exactly. So let me.
So who is going to win, Jesper? We are very, very excited to see this, because you did a data simulation of the Euros, and that was correct in the end.
The data simulation of the Euros, I was very lucky. or the Euros was turning out just as expected. But my simulator expected simulated that 4 teams would reach the semifinals, and that was exactly the same 4 teams that went to the semifinals in the Euros. And then it thought that France would meet England in the final, but it was Germany meeting England, and they expected England to win, and England did. So that was very fun that the simulator was so right in that tournament.
So let's see if this simulation is right as well, because we're going back to this one at the end of the season to see.
Exactly. So
but who is going to win?
Yeah. So I thought I would. You can read that Chelsea's going to win, but I thought I would explain the simulator first as well, so you get a kind of an understanding how it works. I won't be too mathematical, but actually what it does is that it looks at historical games, and also I took into account how the players, like based on their stats, like how the team has performed on average the last 2 years that we have data on. So like how well have they performed on average, and what can that tell me about how they would perform this year? And then you get like a different, you can call a rating on every team. And then when the simulator, what it does is that it when Chelsea meets Manchester City, it takes the 2 weights in on like how good the teams are expected to be, and then from that it gets it randomizes a number of highlights that the team will get, and from the highlights they will get unexpected goals, and that means that Chelsea could get 2.4 highlights for 2.4 expected goals in that game, and Manchester City 1.1. But then the game can turn out to be 3-1 Chelsea, or it can turn out to be 1-1, or even a 1-0 victory for Manchester City, even though they have less chances, just as in actual football. And then when you simulate enough times, the simulator will converge and give you the likely outcome of the simulator. So depending on how much data I can provide the simulator, it can get a better result. So the more data I get, I think the simulator becomes better and better.
I just have to ask you one thing, because you told me the other day that one thing the simulator can't count with is what players the teams have signed and added or lost.
Yeah, so what I do for men's football when I simulate is that I usually look at the players' transfer market value, because one thing I know is that over time, usually a team performs pretty similar to their position in the economic table and what player they have on the roster. But I don't have good enough data that I trust on women's football when it comes to transfer market value and so on. But what I tried to do this time instead is that I used like the Playmaker index, or like the rating of the players from the last 2 years. But then I took the average for the team, and it didn't like for example, it didn't take into account that Joanna Rytting-Conryd has come to Chelsea, because it just took into account how Chelsea usually other players perform. So yeah, that's one thing to have in mind in this simulation. But usually they are pretty accurate without taking the players into account. Because
let's see if you make fans happy or angry with this.
Yeah. So Chelsea, by the way, they're the biggest favorite to win, like 40% chance, and that's a pretty high odds. But I think that's also because there's a 12-team league. There's not too many. Like if it's a Champions League of 16 teams, that is a tournament, it's a draw playing into account as well. Or if it's the Champions League in men's with 32 teams, there are even more teams that can win. You can compare the 42% here of Chelsea with, for example, it's being a tournament. It's not a league, the Champions League, but still Manchester City was the biggest favorite in Champions League with about 18% of winning. So yeah, Chelsea's big favorites. And then Arsenal has a percentage of winning about 27%. Manchester City just above 20%, and Manchester United around 14%, and Tottenham and Everton has like 2-3% chance of winning, and then the other teams, they have like less than 1% down to 0. So there is a chance, but it's not very big according to my simulator.
There's always a chance in football, I would say, but the season is long and it's many games that are about to be played before this. But I don't think that any Women's Super League fan would be like surprised of this, what the simulation has told us here. So
what you can, sorry,
no, go ahead.
What you can take into account, I think that, especially if you look at last season's performance, but also at the simulator, is that the simulator at least expects it to be really 3 teams being the best, with Chelsea, Arsenal, and Manchester City, and then you have Manchester United a little bit like stuck in the 4th position, and then Tottenham, Everton, West Ham, Brighton, and Reading in some kind of middle of the league group, and then Aston Villa, Liverpool, and Leicester fighting to stay in the league. So you can see if those groups stay intact, or if there will be like Aston Villa fighting for a top 6 position, or I don't know, Manchester United is struggling to be on the top half. So that would be like more unexpected for my simulator, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah, let's do a check-in in the middle of the season to watch how the table stands.
We can see how bad I perform.
Exactly. But I do think it's quite interesting to just compare the 2 most prominent team according to this simulation, and that is Chelsea and Arsenal. And I know that you have done a comparison with the spider across with different metrics.
Yes.
So we're going to end this first live stream session by looking at this spider.
Yes, we will. So let me just 1 second. So okay, so here we have the team spiders of Arsenal and Chelsea. Now you're looking at my graphics that I use for different reports and work that I do outside the platform, and also I put these on Twitter once in a while. I used to share my work, and I really want to share it with all other people just enjoying data analytics and football. And also if I could motivate another person like to get into football analytics and programming on their own with football as a subject, I'm very happy. So
I mean, they are very easy to like read, even if you're not a data analyst. But what I do find most interesting about this spider and this comparison between Arsenal and Chelsea, and this is from last season, we must add, is that Arsenal is a more, I don't know if this is the right word, but I'm going to use it now, and I'm sure people will even misunderstand me on purpose or not. But Arsenal is a more complete team, looking at all the metrics, while Chelsea are better in important metrics, I would say. So let's just explain these metrics.
So we can start from the top, or like 12 o'clock. You have defense. So defense is really like what the expected goal against has been, like how many chances you have allowed, and what the expected goal value of those chances are. But then also you look at like how effective the other teams has been against you. Like, so it also looks at like how good has your goalkeeper been in shot stopping and so on. And the same thing is with offense, but the opposite. Like, it looks at how many chances you have created in regards of expected goals, and then how good, like how efficient you've been, like how you've taken care of those chances. So are you like, if you're to generate the most expected goals is of course like the most important thing for that value, or like the biggest part. But if you are also efficient, that is weighing in. So if you take the next one, pressing, that's like how you are, what kind of pressure you are putting into your opponent. Like, are you allowing the other team to pass freely in their first third, in your final, and also in the central third, and when they are reaching your half? And like, how are you trying to stop them? Are you interfering with interceptions and tackles, and what's the frequency of that really? When you look at ball recoveries, that's like when you have ended your opponent's possession. So like when you have won the ball on the field, like in play. So it's not taking, if you end your opponent's attacking and they get a throw in, that doesn't count. But if you're like winning the ball and you have the chance to start a counter attack, or like pass it home to your defender, so like start over, you have recovered the possession really. That's what ball recoveries are. And set pieces, that is your expected goal difference on set pieces, and it's not taking penalties into account. So it's what's happening on like free kick crosses and corners, and also like what's happening close to a throw-in. So if you're using throw-in as an offensive set piece, like you're throwing it into the box and so on. And then it's the expected goal difference. So a team could be very good, for example, at set pieces. It could be fourth in the league, but if it's conceding a lot of goals or letting a lot of chances on expected goals on set pieces as well, it will drop down. So you need to have like a positive outcome, and the bigger positive outcome, the better you are in that category. Carries and dribbles, that is really your expected threat value on carries and dribbles. Like, what kind of threat are you generating by carrying the ball or dribbling, like a take on with your opponent. So, and passing is the same, but through passes. So it can tell you if you have like good technical players in your team, or if you're more using crosses into the box, or use that passes is your like primary weapon. And possession, that's very simple. That's how much possession do you have compared to other teams in the league. And if you look at the this plot, you can see that Arsenal is actually like second, I think, in all of the categories, which is kind of interesting. They could be maybe third in possession. I don't have the list next to me, but if you look at the spider, it looks like they are third in passing. But otherwise, they're second in every category. And Chelsea is actually, they are the best in defense and offense. That's very important to win games. That's why their expected points were so high. And they are also like they're top of the league in passing and set pieces. And I think passing, I know players like Guro Reiten, Pernille Harder, Frank Kirby and so on has a very high expected threat passes values. Like they are very good in creating chances for the passes. What Chelsea aren't as good in, or like aren't using in their philosophy, is like they're in the ball recoveries. They maybe don't have to recover the ball as much, but still there is a very big correlation that good teams are top of the league in ball recoveries as well. But that's something that Chelsea weren't as dominant in, and the same in pressing. But that could also be a part of their philosophy, that they're waiting for the opponent to attack and then they react. So
yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting as well to maybe when this season is over, that you can compare the teams from last season to this season, how they have been playing.
Yeah, we can go back to the spider later in the season and we can see if it's similar to last year, or like if the teams have changed their tactics and so on. Now you have the same coaches in the teams, but you have new players, maybe a new formation. We'll see. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, exciting seasons ahead in all European women's football leagues. The Frauen Bundesliga is also kicking off this weekend, and in Spain they are about to play football again after the chaos that has been with the referees and the league and the FA there. So it's going to be very interesting to follow, and we are gonna do what we are gonna do in these live streams during the season is that we're gonna look at the different leagues, players from all the leagues, of course, and all the while we're gonna use Playmaker as the tool to do it. So much more to come, but Jesper, I think this will be enough for today. Lots of numbers, lots of metrics, explanations, and stuff like that, but let's hope people enjoy learning with us and learning about Playmaker as well. So Jesper, it's Friday in Sweden, and I mean, people like Fridays all over the world. I'm pretty sure, but I hope you will have a great weekend, because I will have a great weekend with a lot of football.
Yeah, I hope you have a great weekend as well, Mia. And I'm glad for everyone who joined. And if you have any topics you would like us to bring up, don't hesitate to comment below, and follow Playmaker on Twitter, and me and Mia as well. And I'm very excited to go through the different different things in data analytics, and and we will have a women's football as our base. And subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, Playmaker AI. That would be great.
Yeah, and the Twitter is also at Playmaker AI. We must say very, very important things here to come. But we are open to suggestions, questions, and everything that you want to know. So just hit us in the commentary fields all over social medias. And have a great weekend, everyone, and see you next time, whenever that is. Very soon, though.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.